Okay, so blessed day to everyone. Thank you for joining me today as I present my research study for the Inquiries, Investigation, and Immersion subject entitled On the Road Freightliners, the Lived Experiences of Delivery Workers Amidst the COVID-19 Pandemic in Carmona, Cavite. So before I start, I wanted to convey my sincerest gratitude to my research advisor, Mr. Ryan Chester Caro, for helping me and guiding me with this study. And I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our panelists uh, for lending me your time to assess this study and presentation. So again, my name is Jansel R. Villahermosa from grade 12 ABMA. Let us begin with chapter 1 for a brief introduction of the study. So, to begin, the COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc all around the globe, and life as we knew it has changed fundamentally. And aside from the fact that many are facing health problems, the economy has been taking huge blows. Many businesses are being shut down, and an enormous number of jobs have been lost. And due to the guidelines in place, most of us are relegated or stuck inside. And with this, it will inevitably increase the demand for delivery services. And uh, the demand for this will provide us the goods that we would otherwise be buying on our own outside in stores and whatnot. So, due to this spike in demand, there will inherently be more job openings for delivery workers. But despite this positive opportunity for those who are currently unemployed, this job has many risks, especially in this time of the pandemic. And this is what the researcher aimed to discover as they interviewed delivery workers who took on the challenge and became essential workers, delivering goods and packages to our doorsteps, going out into the world so we don't have to. Okay, so now for the theoretical framework. This study is anchored on the Herzberg motivation theory, or otherwise known as two-factor theory, which states that in a work environment, employees are motivated either positively or negatively. The positive factors are called the motivators, and these are the following. These could be the achievement in your workplace, the recognition, interesting work, responsibility, advancement, and growth. Uh, these factors are what makes employee work better. Uh, on the other hand, the negative factors are what turns an employee off, which tends to make them underperform and do bad in the work environment. So these are called the hygiene factors. So this could be the bad policies, supervision, relationships, working condition, salary, status, and security. So again, to summarize, here's the operational framework. This study is anchored again on the Herzberg motivation theory, which assumes that the performance of workers are influenced by two main factors. These factors are the motivators, which push an employee to work harder and better, while on the other hand, the hygiene factors are the unfavorable job factors that demotivates employees in their job. So, moving on to the statement of the problem. This study aims to find out new discoveries on the experiences and difficulties that the delivery workers have. So, this research responds to the following questions. First is, what have the participants experienced while delivering goods and packages? For the second core question of this study, how have the participants conquered their challenges of being a delivery worker? So, as for the assumptions in the study, first is that the participants have developed skills to improve and stabilize their job performance. And the second is the participants have been able to provide and sustain for their families through their honed skills and improved performance. Uh, Moving on now to the scope and delimitation. The researcher will be conducting through the help of five delivery workers making deliveries here in Carmona, Cavite. This is regardless of their age or the delivery platform that they're working for. And these recorded interviews will reveal the information about the delivery workers' experiences as they go on with their job on a day-to-day basis. So let us move on to the significance of the study. So this study can provide insights and knowledge to the lived experiences of the delivery workers. And alongside with the advantages and disadvantages, this can contribute immensely to the general knowledge. So first, the first beneficiary is to the delivery workers first and foremost. So, especially to those who are currently experiencing difficulties on the road, they can be provided with the knowledge so that they can acquire new skills to make their job easier and more comfortable. Next is for the economy of the Philippines. We can also benefit from this because through this research, the government will be able to see the problems that these workers are going through and the difficulties they face, and they can resolve these issues, making the delivery services in our country more profitable. Uh, Third, the Carmona citizens can also benefit from this research since it focuses on the experiences of the delivery workers, and it can provide awareness to the citizens about the difficulties that they have, which can help them be more empathetic and considerate to the workers. Fourth is to the unemployed and jobless. They can also benefit from this study because even they will be more knowledgeable and equipped about the delivery industry, helping them gain more insight and knowledge to handle this job if and when they choose to be a courier or a rider. And lastly, this study can serve as a good foundation for future researchers since this will be beneficial to provide information for future studies related to business or the delivery industry as a whole. And future researchers can also use the recommendations written in the study for further innovations and adjustments. Okay, so now moving forward with the methodology of this study, starting with the research design and sources of data. So, for the purpose of describing the life experiences of the delivery workers, the researcher employed the phenomenological research design, which focuses on identifying and analyzing what the participants had in common as they experienced a phenomenon. Moving on to the sources of data, it will mostly be gathered from the multiple interviews from the participants, but to provide an in-depth background and meaningful answers to the research problems, I have also cited books, online journals, periodicals uh, in this study. So, for the participants of the study, it will consist again of 5 delivery workers making deliveries here in Carmona, Cavite amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And this will also be through utilizing the purposeful criterion sampling strategy. Uh, Next, we'll be moving on to the data gathering procedure. So first, the researcher will select the participants with the help of 5 delivery workers. And after gaining permission, the interview schedules will be set or sometimes on the spot. And then the interviews will be conducted. And in some cases, these interviews will be conducted in an online space like Google Meet, which will be recorded for the sake of the study. Now, for the overview of the treatment and analysis of data, these are the following steps that were considered. First is bracketing. So, it is in which all previous experiences of the participants were set aside only to focus on what was relevant or what the experiences or related to the phenomenon. Next is the horizontalization, and by which the transcriptions from the previous interviews will be read and the significant statements will be set aside and highlighted. Then these significant statements will be used to form clusters, which will be used to write then the textual description, then the structural description. Then from these descriptions, the researcher will write a composite description or an overall essence that presents the participants' lives as they experience being a delivery worker amidst this COVID-19 pandemic. So, moreover, in terms of ethical consideration, the researcher asked permission from the school administrators, and most importantly, the participants of the study if they consent to being interviewed. So, Uh, we will now be moving on to the results and discussion. So, to start, we will be looking at some of the significant answers of the participants translated, of course, in English. So, I will be reading some of the uh, transcriptions, interview answers. So, first, in this job, you just have, you, in this job, you just deliver. You also have control over your time. Uh, the salary depends on you. If you work diligently, you earn more. Uh, yes, we have insurance here if you get sick. If you want to go on vacation, you can go on vacation leave. So, after analyzing these statements, the theme clusters or the clustering will be commenced. So, it will be formed in grouping the significant statements into themes or meaningful units. So, uh, here are the themes divided into two groups. So the first group is Group A. So the Group A theme clusters were formulated to answer the central questions of the study as reflected in the statement of the problem. So the first question, again, is what have the participants experienced while delivering goods and packages? Then the second group answers the second central question of how have the participants conquered the difficulties of being a delivery worker? So, to go into detail, the first theme delves into being a delivery worker as a better alternative. The pandemic has cut down a large portion of the world's workforce, and the delivery work being an essential avenue in our society, it offers a good opportunity for those who are unemployed or those who have been let go from their previous job. Since and also it is much better than other low-paying or minimum wage jobs out there. Then the next theme is the benefits, or the second theme aims to find out if the workers are still being exploited and treated as freelancers, not being supplied the job benefits normally entitled to regular employees. But it turns out they are being given insurance and incentives, which gives them a layer of security that since their job entails many risks, since they're out on the road being exposed to the elements and various dangers. For the third theme, or the final textual theme, goes into the experiences of the workers as they made the deliveries, and all the answers had the same core experience, and they exclaimed that they had complete control over their time, or their time in the job was what you could say flexible. And the main problem that they had, that all these riders had, was the weather. The rain apparently made things substantially difficult to fulfill their job responsibilities. Uh, Moving on to the group of structural themes, or Group 3. The first in this category is the impact of the pandemic to the delivery workers. And their insights on this matter was unproblematic. The constant changes in the community and quarantine guidelines did not hinder them in their job experiences. Instead, the quarantines were actually beneficial to them since it raised demand, giving them more opportunities to apply for the job and make more deliveries for the goods and packages. And lastly, uh, it for the final theme is the nature of the work and its impact to the participants' lives. With the increased demand for the delivery services, these participants have been given an opportunity to change their lives, and according to them, this job has contributed so much, allowing them to actually thrive in their life as opposed to their previous job experiences, which was poor and low paying. So again, I know that was a lot, but to summarize all of this, we will be discussing the textual and structural descriptions. So the first three theme clusters answered the first core questions again of what have the participants experienced while delivering goods and packages. And for the first theme, it elaborates on the job being a better alternative to other low paying jobs, and it being the only option since some were let go from their jobs. Uh, the second theme cluster moves on to tackle the legal issues that the delivery workers have been exposed to since they were not given in the previously they were not given the same rights as the regular employee with insurance, incentives, and leaves. And next is the third theme cluster, which goes into the main experiences of the delivery workers. Since going outside and being exposed to many dangers, the experiences of the participants all revolve around the same problem like the weather and even the same advantages to the job such as the flexibility of their time working and for the textual description these summarize the overall experiences and insights of the participants as they undertook their job responsibilities of being a delivery worker. Okay, so moving on to the structural description or the remaining theme clusters. The two theme clusters served as the answer for the second core question again of how have the participants conquered the difficulties of being a delivery worker. So for the fourth theme cluster, it goes into how impactful was the pandemic to the work of the rider since there was constant changes to the we all know that there was constant changes to the community guidelines and quarantines, but it turns out it was hardly an inconvenience or a hindrance in any way to them. And lastly, for the fifth theme cluster, it focuses on being a delivery worker that being a delivery worker changes lives. And even with the hardships that the job carries, these participants go into detail on how helpful this job is and how better it is from their previous jobs. Okay, so that concludes the fourth chapter. So, nearing the end of the presentation now, we will be moving on to the last chapter, which is the summary, conclusion, and recommendation. So, the study focused on the experiences of delivery workers as they delivered goods and packages amidst this pandemic. To solve the main problem, the two core questions were worked out or formulated by the researchers. So, the first uh, the first summary for the core questions is that through an analysis of the interview transcriptions, again, we'll be reiterating the three themes that were developed, which went into detail on the first-hand experiences of the delivery workers. The first theme focuses on how the participants got involved with delivering packages and how it was, again, a better alternative to other jobs. The second theme delves into the job benefits that the participants have as they were previously treated as freelancers or just partners of the delivery platform. And lastly, the third theme tackles on the everyday or what the delivery workers face every day and the challenges. So these themes summarize the overall experience of the participants as they undertook their job responsibilities. So, for the second summary, again, for the fourth theme, it targeted on how the workers were affected by the constant changes in the community quarantine guidelines, but again, it was not an inconvenience or hindrance. And finally, for the fifth theme, it goes to the core of these participants as they elaborate on how the being a delivery worker massively helped their current situation in this pandemic. So, moving forward with the essence. So, after analyzing the answers of the participants towards the core questions back in the SOP, it is proven that the delivery workers are risking so much and are facing many challenges in their job. And even despite that, they have chosen to be exposed to numerous dangers. But the researcher also discovered that this job has contributed and has changed the participants' lives significantly. And it also showcases that the interviewed participants are very tough individuals, being able to rise to the occasion, even though the pandemic has brought on so much adverse and dire situations. For the conclusions now, analyzing the textual and structural description of the participants, the following conclusions were drawn. So for the first conclusion, the participants have found that being a rider or a courier is a better alternative than other low-paying jobs. and it was a way to gain income since some, again, were let go from their jobs, and they also receive basic benefits that is able to get them more secured in their job. And the participants also gain advantages alongside the challenges that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. For the second conclusion, the participants were able to cope with the challenges they faced. They claimed that the job was a big help to them. Some participants would even have no job otherwise if not for the delivery work. And some have even gotten better income as compared to their previous jobs, being able to afford and acquire more expensive and luxurious items such as cars and motorcycles. And finally, to close out this discussion is the recommendations. So, based on all the perceptions of the workers who were interviewed, the researcher recommends the following to the beneficiaries as listed here. So, first is for the delivery workers. With the findings, the researcher recommends that the fellow delivery workers to take note and learn from the interviewed participants in this study, since these learnings can be passed on, which can help them cope with their own problems, helping them be more comfortable with their jobs. Next is for the unemployed and jobless. They should assess and gain understanding that there is a very huge demand for the delivery industry at the moment, and this can push them to pursue a profession in the field. Next is for the LGUs of Carmona. They can implement more programs that can help delivery workers as they do the public a service by delivering goods and packages to our doorsteps, preventing us citizens from going outside and possibly contracting the virus. Next is for the Filipino citizens. They can gain a deeper understanding about the workers, which can help them relate and empathize themselves with the riders, allowing them to be more patient and understanding towards the workers. And finally, for the future researchers, it is recommended that they seek ways or methods that could be advised to further aid and protect the delivery workers, which are very essential in our society today. Excuse me. They can also find innovative and new knowledge to advise delivery workers that can assist with their jobs, helping them be more comfortable and secure as they do their responsibilities. And that concludes my presentation of the study, again entitled On the Road Freightliners: The Lived Experiences of Delivery Workers Amidst the COVID-19 Pandemic in Carmona, Cavite. But before I truly end this presentation, let me leave you with this quote. So, if you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And it shows in this study that despite the hardships, people, especially the participants, they still kept moving forward. And even if it's at a slow pace, they looked ahead at the horizon, looking for a better tomorrow. So, on a final note, that ends my presentation. I sincerely appreciate your attention today, despite the possible technical difficulties that we have. I truly appreciate that we've had this opportunity to present. I've had this opportunity to present my research study in your presence, and I hope that you learned a little something from this presentation. And for further inquiries, I am now open for your questions as well as your suggestions regarding my study. Thank you again.
Okay.